As an employee in Germany, you pay quite some money into the social security system with your salary. And a big chunk of that goes into the pension insurance. And the big question is, if you ever leave Germany, are you able to claim that money back? It depends. But if you are eligible, you're looking at a potential 5-digit refund. Let's dive deeper into this topic. And in this video, we will cover topics like, what is the German pension refund? What is the eligibility criteria? How much is your refund going to be? How to apply for the refund? And the required documents. Hey, my name is Jen and I'm from Guatemala.
And mine is Yvonne and I'm German.
And together we're from simplegermany.com, where we create English content to empower internationals to settle, or in this case, leave Germany more smoothly. Okay, let's first start with the baseline by asking Yvonne the question, what is the German pension refund?
So the German pension refund is you claiming back the money that you have paid into the German pension insurance system with your salary as an employee. Now, to be specific, 9.3% of your salary every month or every year, however you want to look at it, goes off automatically without you actually noticing into the German pension insurance. Another 9.3% actually gets paid by your employer. Because if you look at it in total, social security contributions, 50% are paid by you, the employee, and 50% by the employer. Now, it's very important. You can, of course, only claim the money back that you have paid in. So only your 9.3% and not the other half that the employer paid. And the word pension refund comes into play that when you leave Germany and you have no intention on retiring in Germany, the question kind of needs to be asked, okay, I paid all these contributions, I'm not retiring in the country, how am I going to benefit from what I've paid into? And this is what's called pension refund, to evaluate whether you have the right to that money that you paid in or not. And a few criteria need to be adhered to.
Okay, so let's look at the eligibility criteria that you need to meet to be able to even claim this refund. So number one is your residency. You need to be living outside of the EU, EEA, Switzerland, UK, pretty much the European continent, I would say.
Economic area, how about that?
Yeah, the European Economic Area.
The second must-fulfill criteria is that you need to have stopped contributing to the German pension fund for at least 24 months. So pretty much if we translate that, it means that you need to have left Germany and stopped working in Germany for at least 2 years before kind of like the German government says, okay, after 2 years, it's more or less obvious you're not coming back. Now, the first two criteria are pretty black and white. It's either or. There's no discussion about it. But the third criteria is a little bit more intransparent, and this means that you cannot be allowed, officially, legally, to continue contributing to the pension fund if you would like to, so voluntarily. Now, what does that mean? For example, me as a German citizen, you as a German citizen, no matter where we live in the world, we could always choose to still pay into the German pension insurance. And hence, we don't fulfill this criteria. There are 3 main groups of nationalities that we can kind of like depict to make this topic a little clearer.
The first group is already the one that you mentioned, but not only German citizen, but any European citizen, because it's still part of the EU in a way, it's the same system. So if you're a German or EU citizen, unfortunately, you do have the ability to contribute into the German system if you wanted to. Therefore, you're not eligible for the refund. So pretty much what we're saying is that if you have alone the possibility of, you can't do it. I mean, you can't claim the refund, right?
If you have the possibility of continuing to pay into it voluntarily, you cannot claim a refund.
Yeah, okay.
Because you have access to the system, right? The argument of, oh, you'll never benefit from the what you paid in when you actually retire is out of the question.
Yeah, because you, by law, have the benefit as, in this case, a German or any European citizen.
Correct.
Okay, now let's look at the second group of people who may or may not be able to claim the refund.
Yes, and this is where it becomes interesting already. The second group is pretty much citizens of any contracting countries. Now, a contracting country in this case is a country that has a social security agreement with Germany. So there is like a bilateral agreement on how this situation gets handled. However, it's very crucial to point out that all of the countries that we're listing now on the screen, they are contracting countries, but every country has a different type of contract. So there is no clean cut, if you're on the list, then this applies to you. Whatever applies to you that is negotiated between your country and Germany.
Wow, so pretty much what we're saying is that if your country is part of this list, you would need to double check whether the contract or the agreement between Germany and your country allows you to voluntarily contribute into the pension system. And if you are allowed, then you cannot claim the refund. But if you are not allowed, you can claim the refund.
Yes, but to make this really simple, if you are a citizen from any of these countries that we previously shown, you have a likely possibility of being able to claim your refund, and you should definitely take a free eligibility thank you, eligibility test from the partners that we will talk later in the video, which you can find also in the description below, because those 5 minutes of doing the test are definitely worth potential 5 figures refund. Now, there is one more specificality I would like to highlight, because there's a lot of misleading information, because sometimes what happens is this applies to me as a citizen from country X, and I spread all of the information into the internet, and then person from country B thinks it applies to them, and it's different. Because some of the countries that have contracts with Germany have additional criteria, requirements for you to meet in order to be able to claim your pension refund. And the reason why there is so much misinformation out there is some of the bigger, meaning more populated countries where cases are more often where people apply more often for refunds. For example, the US, India, Australia, and Canada, and also some others, have the additional requirement that you can only claim your pension refund if you have worked, meaning contributed less than 60 months to the pension insurance in Germany. That is 5 years. So there is this misconception that if you've worked in Germany more than 5 years, you're no longer able to claim your pension refund, which for the 4 plus a few other countries that I just mentioned, this is true. But it is not true for everyone in the world. There is a bunch of other countries out there that do not have this 5-year limit. And that's what I want to bring across, because a lot of people think, more than 5 years, I can't. That's not true. It depends on your nationality. However, that being said, if you are from the US, India, Australia, Canada, and a few others, which again, you'll find out when you do the free test in the description below, and you are, let's say, in Germany working for 4.5 years and you are considering of maybe leaving, then
now.
Of course, think twice when you leave, because if you have more than 60 months on your plate, like in the contributions, you miss out on that refund. If you have 58 months, then you can still claim your refund. So this is where it becomes actually very important to know in advance what's happening, and why also a lot of expats might choose to leave before 5 years.
Yeah, that is fascinating. So at the end of the day, so in the description box below, you will find different tests that you can take, or is it just one test?
No, it's 3 partners and they all have a free test.
Yeah, so take 5 minutes or 10 minutes to do this test and then figure out for yourself if you're eligible for this refund or not, because there's nothing worse than assuming you're not eligible and then you are, and then you never get your money back pretty much. Okay, now we go to the third bucket or third group of people who may or may not claim the refund.
No, they may.
They may.
Yes.
Okay. And that's the rest of the world. Pretty much.
So the third group of people is exactly anyone from nationalities we have not talked about, so not the EU and not the list that we previously shown. You are eligible, so claim it. Go for it. Again, you can do the test, just so get into touch with the partners and see whether, you already have the 24 months of not contributing and where you're living and all the yada yadas. They will check everything for you and then go for it.
So then pretty much, give a clear example. If I, let's say, would just have the Guatemalan passport, I'm just a Guatemalan citizen. I've been living in Germany for 6 years. I moved back to Guatemala. I have not paid into the contribution system for at least 2 years. I could potentially claim my refund back.
Correct. And I would even dare to say, in your case, the example you just gave, I would still check with the partners in the description, because some of them, I know the Pension Refund Germany, that's the name of the company. I know that they have had successful cases, even with dual citizenship, with one of the nationalities being from the EU.
Interesting.
So even then, I wouldn't just say, like you just said earlier, it doesn't apply to me. I would always check, can I have the refund or not? Because if the answer is no, then at least you know. But if the answer is yes, pursue it through them, because they know their deal. They work with lawyers. And the chance of getting 5 figures back is, they will be worth my time.
Yeah, definitely. And just to give another counter example, if I, again, would only have the Guatemalan passport as my citizen, I moved to Spain, and I'm living and working there, then I cannot claim the refund back because I'm still in a European Economic Area.
Correct.
Okay. Oof, that is actually very if then else.
It's super clean cut if you know the details. If you know the also contracting party countries, if you know the details of those contracts, which again the experts know, then it's super straightforward. But us who we just see the big maze, it can sound very overwhelming. Yes,
yeah, that's why we're making this video.
Exactly. So if you're like, wow, I was not aware of this, and I should definitely put this on my agenda to not forget in case I ever leave Germany, and you're getting value out of this video, please be sure to tell us through a like. And also subscribe to our channel for more tips that you might be unaware about for moving to, living in, leaving, settling, whichever part of life in Germany you are currently in.
Now let's talk about how much money can you actually get back. We've been talking about 5 figures, and in the thumbnail we tease with like 20,000 euros, which is actually a lot of money.
Hell yeah.
So can I expect to get 5 figures back? What is the take on this?
It highly depends on how long you've contributed, I mean like how long you've worked in Germany and what your salary has been. Right? If we go back to the beginning of the video, 9.3% every month gets taken from your salary. Let's round that to 10, it's easier to calculate. Take 10% from your yearly salary and add that times the years you've worked. I mean, make the math yourself. It can get big very easily. I've done the math. That's why we tease with 20,000 in the thumbnail. Because if you have worked 3 years in Germany with a monthly gross salary of 6,000 euros, which if you are as good office workers is, I would say, very feasible.
Yeah.
That equals to roughly 20,000 euros of contribution. That's only 3 years. Wow. What if it's been 5 or 6 years, right?
That is crazy. Yeah, that's a lot of money. Yeah, that is super cool.
Now to the big question. So how do you actually claim your German pension refund if you're eligible? And there's 2 ways. Number 1 is you do it yourself because you have conquered the German bureaucracy while you've been in Germany and becoming an expert, and you're up for the last challenge.
Or not.
That means you get to fill out a German bureaucratic form that is 15 pages long, where you have to make your claim, of course, and hand that in. The beauty is that the German pension refund will most likely counter with a few follow-up questions, which they will only ask via postal mail. And they will then send that letter to you wherever you live in the rest of the world. So that takes time to arrive. Hopefully it arrives, depending on the postal service, right? And then you get to answer those questions in German. And it's going to be a back and forth, meaning this process is very long, tedious, and just tiring, I would say. Also, once your request gets approved, hopefully, in this case, and you no longer have a German bank account, which maybe after 2 years you no longer have, the transfer that you will receive from the German pension fund to your international bank account will take 2 months extra because it's an international wire transfer. And of course will come with a hefty fee because it's an international wire transfer. So the whole process is just very complicated, which again, you can do so, but I would opt for number 2, which is use experts who are a lot faster in this area.
Yes, I would say hire an expert, right? That's like the what I would do, because also time, I mean, the way you explain it is super excruciating just thinking about me doing that process. So we have, as we have mentioned already in the video, in the description box below, there are 3 experts, 3 partners that we trust. None of them are better than the other. They just have different websites and the way they market themselves. So the one that vibes with you the most is the one that you choose. They're both legit. They both are...
All 3?
Oh, they're both, and I'm going like this, they're all 3 legit. They're real companies and they've handled many pension refunds as well. So they have real clients. Right? As being said that, so the way this works is that you hire an expert and that take care of everything for you. And of course, because they're taking care of everything for you, they will charge a fee. And usually that is 10% of what you will get back, but only if your application is approved. So if it's not approved, they still go through the process and they just don't take a cut of your money.
Yeah, and I mean, because of the experience, they already know when there's high chances. They only pursue, they only give you the green light to pursue with the claim if they expect it to go through, right? Like I said, even in complicated cases. So it's 10% of, maybe 20K. Yeah, that's 2,000 euros. But I would think of, I get 18,000 back with hassle-free rather than chasing the 2,000 extra through a lot of bureaucracy.
And just to give a counterexample of how smooth it can be, how would it work if I decide to work with an expert?
Well, you start with the free test, the eligibility test, to see whether it makes even sense for you. And you can also do the free calculator to understand how much would you get back. And then they will guide you through the process. They will guide you through getting all the details and all to fill out this form, right? They will support you through it. And they work with lawyers. So again, that it's more streamlined. Also, usually the processing time of, if you do it yourself, of this pension refund is around 6 months. And they get pension refunds in 2 months because, again, they know how to streamline the process. And then they will use an escrow account. So the German pension insurance will transfer the money to an escrow account. So that is in kind of like your name. So they cannot kind of like steal it from you. So you have a security. And then they will most likely use Wise or any other modern payment service provider to transfer the money to your international bank account with a lot lower fees than a traditional international wire transfer. And that's the process.
Yeah, so it's super smooth.
And of course, if the back and forth if the pension refund has questions, goes through them. You have nothing to do with it, unless, of course, you need to answer a question, but they will reach out to you all via email. And how you would expect it from a digital provider, right?
Definitely.
In English.
Yeah. And just to make this video complete, let's talk about the potential documents that you will need to apply for this pension refund. And these documents you will need to supply whether you're using an expert or you decide to do this yourself. Document number 1 is a beautiful 15-page form called V0901.
Which, again, they have a streamlined way for you to fill it. It doesn't mean you have to sit there and fill it yourself. Then you need your deregistration document. Because when you move to Germany, you registered, the Anmeldung, and when you leave Germany, you need to do the Abmeldung to get this official paper that says you've officially left Germany. You will need your social security number, which you can find on your payslips. In our written guide of the topic of the German pension refund, which we also link in the description, we have linked to all of those documents where you can find them and how to gather them, because it's easier to gather them while you're still in Germany than from abroad.
And some optional, let's say, documents, it's a copy of your valid current passport, as well as proof that you live in the country that you say that you live, and this proof needs to come from the German embassy or consulate in the country that you're living in.
Yeah, that depends a little bit. It's a case-by-case thing. Also, what you might need to supply is a certificate that you solemnly swear that you're still alive. So there's also, again, an example in our guide, just to state that you are who you claim to be, and
and you're alive and breathing.
And another optional document which you can provide that is to prove how much money you really get back is a so-called Versicherungsverlauf, so a record from the German pension refund that actually sums up all of the contributions you've done over the years. You actually need such a paper already for your permanent residency if you're applying for that. So you can request that either in person if you live close to a German pension refund, or online, and it's just a document they will send to you by postal mail. It's easy to get, and this one really, there's no calculation, because this one says this is how much you've contributed, so this is how much you deserve back.
So make sure to save this video and/or a written guide, which you find in the description box below, in case you ever decide to leave Germany and you would like to get your pension refund. And if you have left Germany already, or you're planning to leave Germany soon, then make sure to check out our partners in the description box below to also do a free test with them to see if you're eligible for such refund. Until next time, cheers!